Today we're going to focus on how to use this distributive property within an expression. One thing that you're going to see is you're going to see part of the problem inside of parentheses, and that's where we have to use distributive property. So what exactly is distributive property? I would like for you to follow along on your note sheet as we go through this together in the video. So when we see problem number 1, what this is telling us is that it's telling us that 4 needs to be multiplied to everything inside the parentheses. So we are going to distribute the 4 by multiplying it by x, and 4 times x is 4x. We also have to distribute the 4 to the other item inside the parentheses, which is -3. So 4 times -3 is -12. So we're going to write -12. I have now simplified and come up with my final answer, which is 4x minus 12. Notice on problem number 2, what is outside of parentheses isn't a positive number, but a negative number. So this time I have to multiply the -2 to everything inside the parentheses. We'll start by multiplying it by the x. -2 times x is -2x. We also need to multiply the -2 by the 3, which is +3. So -2 times +3 is -6. I am now finished. I've done my distributive property and I'm finished. One way that you can check to see if you are finished is also to make sure that there are no like terms left that need to be combined. In this case, there are not. So on number 3, we have the number 3 outside of the parentheses. It has to be multiplied first by the 8, and 3 times 8 is 24. Then you have to multiply it by the -x. Notice that's a -x, not a positive. So 3 times -x is -3x. And then I'm finished. My answer is 24 minus 3x. On problem number 4, again, we're going to do the same thing. Notice that what is outside the parentheses is a negative number. So we need to multiply -7 times 4, which is -28. And we also have to multiply it by the positive x. So -7 times positive x is -7x. I have nothing left to combine, so I know I am finished. Now, not all of the problems are going to be this simple where all you have to do is distribute. You will have problems later on problems 7 and 8, where we have to then combine the like terms. So we'll get to that here in just a minute. I would like for you to pause it right now and try number 5 and number 6 on your own. And then as soon as you're finished, go ahead and hit play again to check your work. Looking at number 5, you multiply the 9 times the 5x to get 45x, and then you multiply the 9 times -2 to get -18. So your final answer for number 5 is 45x minus 18. Number 6 is a little bit different, and I say that because you have a -8 out in front, and then inside the parentheses is subtraction. So be careful here. On the first part, you're going to do -8 times 6x, which gives you -48x. And then on the second part, notice we're doing -8 times what I circled here was -5. And we know that a negative times a negative is actually a positive, so that's why I have plus 40 here. So answer is -48x plus 40. Now we're going to change into a little bit more complex of a problem. And the reason I say it's a little bit more complex is because after you do distributive property, you will also have to combine like terms. So let's start and let's focus in on what's inside here first, because that's where our distributive property is. So we're going to do 5 times x, which gives me 5x. Then we're going to do 5 times the +2, which gives me +10. So I have 5x plus 10. Notice I still have that minus x at the end. Don't forget about that. Also, don't include that in the distributive property because it's not inside the parentheses. So that just drops down as minus x. Now we go back to what we learned yesterday where we are combining like terms. So in this case, I'm going to circle 5x. And anything else that has an x with it, I'm going to circle. There's no number in front of that negative x, so it is assumed that it's negative 1x. So now we have like terms that have to be combined. So we're going to do 5x put together with negative 1x, and we know that that is 4x. The 10, the plus 10, has nothing to combine with it, so then we just write plus 10 at the end of our problem. So my final answer on this one is 4x plus 10. Let's try another one, number 8. So we're going to start off by multiplying the negative 3 to everything inside the parentheses, which starts with negative 12x, because negative 3 times positive 4x is negative 12x. I'm going to multiply the negative 3 times positive 5, which gives me minus 15. And then we also have the minus 13x at the end. So then from here, we have to combine our like terms. I have one item here that has a negative x, or it just has an x variable, and I have another item here that also has an x variable. So I need to put together the negative 12x with the negative 13x, and when I combine those, negative 12 minus 13 gives me negative 25, and those are x's, so negative 25x. I have nothing to combine with the minus 15, so I write minus 15 at the end, and now I have a completely simplified problem. All right, now we're going to go a little bit further, and we're going to try one that has two sets of distributive property. So first, focus on the first set of distributive property, which I've put a big rectangle around. So 6 times 3x gives me 18x, and 6 times negative 4 gives me minus 24. Now, let's focus on the second set of parentheses, or the second set of distributive property. So we'll do negative 3 times 5x, which gives me negative 15x. We'll do negative 3 times negative 6, which gives me plus 18. And then notice that that plus 2x at the end is not part of the distributive property, so we have to add 2x in at the end. Now the last thing that we have to do is we have to combine our like terms. So I'm going to put a circle around everything that has an x at the end. And I'm also going to include the sign that's in front of the number. So we have 18x minus 15x and then plus 2x. And you can use your calculator here. That's not a big deal. So do 18 minus 15 and then plus 2 gives you 5. So we have 5x. And then the last thing we need to do is we need to combine the items that don't have the variable negative 24 plus 18. So negative 24 plus 18 is negative 6. I have now combined all of my like terms, and I have an answer of 5x minus 6. Now, if you are up for a challenge, go ahead and try problem number 10 on your own. If not, I will walk you through it. But if you want to try it on your own, go ahead and pause now. Those of you that don't want to, I'm going to walk through it. So negative 2 times positive 9x gives me negative 18x. We're going to do negative 2 times negative 7 gives me plus 14. Then we're going to move on to our next set of distributive property, which is here. So we're going to do positive 8 times 5x, which gives me positive 40x. We're going to do 8 times minus 1, which gives me minus 1. And then notice that that 2.5x is not inside the parentheses, so we're just going to put plus 2.5x at the end. And then last, you need to combine like terms. So I'm going to put a circle around everything that has the variable x, and that tells me that I know those items have to get put together. So we have negative 18 plus 40x plus 2.5. And again, use a calculator there. You should get a sum of 24.5x. And then you also need to make sure that you combine those other terms that did not have the variable x so that you add 14 with negative 8. So 14 plus negative 8 or 14 minus 8 would be a positive 6. So my final answer is 24.5x plus 6. All right, moving on. Sometimes in distributive property, you have more than just two items inside those parentheses. Everything that's inside the parentheses has to be multiplied by whatever number is directly outside the parentheses. So we're going to do 4 times 9x gives me 36x. We're going to do the 4 times the 2y, which gives me 8y. And then you're also going to do the 4 times the 7, which gives me 28. Whatever's not in the parentheses, just drop it down. So minus 18 and then minus 20x. Now from here, just simply combine your like terms. So we look for the x's, and it looks like I have two things that need to be combined there. So we're going to do 36 minus 20, and that's going to give me a sum of 16x. Notice I have nothing to put together with the y, so then that just drops down as plus 8y. And then lastly, I do have a positive 28 with a minus 18, just constants, no variables with it. So 28 minus 18 gives me a positive 10. So my final answer in this problem is 16x plus 8y plus 10. I would like for you to pause right now, try problem number 12 on your own, and then hit play and double check. So I've gone ahead and I've done the distributive property, and then the last part I want to do together is combine our like terms. So we have an x there, and this is supposed to be an x as well, so we have 3x, positive 3x, and we have a negative 5x, which when I put those together, that gives me negative 2x, and then we have y variables, so we have a y there and we have a y there, so one's positive 20, one's minus 2y, so 20 minus 2y gives me positive 18y, and then there's nothing to put together with the minus 10, so I just put minus 10 here at the end, and I have my final answer. That was a pretty tough one, so if you got that one, that would be something to definitely be proud of. What I would like for you to do now is I would like for you to check in with myself and get the homework assignment for tonight, which is going to include lots of practice with distributive property. After you do a couple of the problems, again, just like yesterday, have me check them over to make sure that you're on the right track. If you have questions, just ask and I can help guide you through those.